Studio. Please welcome Bethany Hilbert and Tony Williams from the Protential Foundation, doing some great things. Their Passport to Prosperity program is breaking barriers by pairing the love of soccer with the power of education, giving kids in the St. Johns County the tools, the confidence, and the opportunities to thrive. I know for our UK audience that's out there, we'll call it the football, because I know they'll come for me for the jugular, right, Rachel? Yeah. From book drives to competitive play, the character development to college pathways, this program is a game changer, and we can't wait to hear how it's transforming lives. Folks, thanks so much for being here on Sunny TV. Welcome.
Thanks, Davey. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Hey, let's dive into the conversation. Where did this foundation start, and what's it all about?
Yeah, the mission of the Protential Foundation is to leverage the power of soccer to transform the future of at-risk kids in underserved community.
Cool.
The vision is to create the next generation of community game changers. How we do that is we go into an underserved community like West Augustine and create this progressive continuum of opportunity, starting in the elementary school, following them to the middle school, following to the high school, and then one day, the 6-year-old from Webster School will come out of Flagler College, either sports management or social entrepreneurship, and be the director of West Augustine for Protential.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's a whole chain of success right there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, Bethany, you've been around kids for so long, right? And so, did you really see a need here to really kind of shape the paradigm of some of these kids?
Well, I think a big part of that is with my own son Grayson, and that's kind of how Tony and I met, was because my son's a soccer player, and he's in high school now, and he actually now
He's in high school now?
He's in high
God
school now.
bless
He
you.
just turned 15.
You don't even look old enough to have
That's
a
amazing. That's amazing. I remember when he was such a baby.
I know, but he, looking for ways to develop character in your own kids.
Yeah.
That was kind of what connected us, and we started talking about it. And yeah, there's a huge need in our community for just different opportunities and to open doors for the kids that live in our community.
That's awesome.
So for the Webster kids that we work with right now, it's opening the doors to soccer. It's opening the doors to caring about reading and being motivated. And then for our high school students that come back and volunteer in the program, Grayson being one of them, it's giving them the opportunity to give back. Because, a lot of the soccer players that are in club soccer, whether it's Ancient City or some of the other local clubs around town, they really care about giving back because they had coaches that gave to them.
True.
And they still have people that are giving to them. And so this is a way that they can show development that they received and give it to someone else.
So can you really quick talk about the Webster School and how important it is? It's one of our Title I schools. It's a really, really special school. And a lot of these kids don't really get the opportunities that other school kids get. So real quick, can you just give a rundown on why this partnership is so special with Webster?
It's critically important to partner. You're never going to achieve anything significant or sustainable trying to work on your own. So, it's about removing the barriers to entry. There's not many single moms in West Augustine that say, on a Friday afternoon, I'm going to take my kid to Gamble Rogers, or I'm going to be able to afford $2,000 to play in Ancient City. So we've got to take soccer to them rather than expecting them to come to us.
That's awesome.
So we go to, it first came about through Mark Bailey.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
They're amazing.
My wife's been nagging me for years to get health insurance, and I'd resisted it. And when I turned 50, she said, "You've got to do it, Tom."
Yeah.
So I said, we get health insurance. She said, "You've got to go to the Bailey group." So I'm sitting in the Bailey group.
Amazing team, yeah.
Yeah, amazing team. And there was a guy sitting there in board shorts. And he said, "Where's that accent from?" I said, "Liverpool." He said, "You're into soccer?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Well, I want to spend the rest of my life in St. Augustine. I want to have a positive impact." He said, "Let's sit down."
Amazing.
So when we
That's my buddy
sat
Mark.
yeah, he's a class act.
Yeah,
he's a class
totally.
act. So we sat down for lunch and we explained what the vision was. And he said, I said, if there's one community that we can go in St. Johns County and one school, where should it be? And he said, go down to West King Street into Webster School.
Yep.
So we sat down with the principal and said, if there's one thing that we could do for you, what would it be? And she said, reading.
Absolutely.
So we connected reading with soccer. So my wife and I went and bought books for every kid to read about adversity through soccer of their role models.
Cool.
And then we partnered with Flagler College to create a Reading Stars program. So kids take the books home and read. They have a reading log. Did you read today? Yes or no? How many minutes? and then we soccerize it. We create a Reading Stars League.
I love it.
And that's where the leverage comes in, because if you read, you can play for the Webster Wolverines on a Friday night at Ancient City. If you don't read, you can't play.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got parents at 10 o'clock on Thursday night
Right.
texting the reading logs in there.
Oh my
That's
God, I love
awesome,
that.
though.
So-
It really kind of gives these kids an opportunity, and it really kind of shines a good light on discipline, right? Which is such an important factor with soccer and being an athlete
Yeah.
and being a great student.
100%.
So now, Tony, when we were talking before the show, that you have a pretty interesting, pretty cool thing that you do in the soccer world. So what is that
Yeah.
cool thing?
Yeah, I was a national scout for US Soccer Foundation, so I was fortunate enough to trip across Freddie Adu, who's the youngest ever professional player. And then I went to US Soccer and said, we're fishing in the wrong pond, and we should be doing a lot more than just going into underserved communities, picking out the best players. We should go in and invest in local young leaders and turn them into community champions of the future.
Yeah.
Use sport for social change.
Yeah.
So they said, it's very honourable, but we haven't got the money. And I said, well, if I raise the money, will you support me? And they said, yeah. So we created a foundation in Philadelphia
Awesome.
called the Starfinder Foundation, which took kids who were dealing drugs outside middle schools, give them referees badges and coaching licenses, put them back in those schools, talking to kids about don't make the same mistake I did and resist peer pressure.
Yeah.
20 years later, some of the kids that started in the program are now running the program. So we want to bring that same model and adapt it to St. Johns County.
Now, Bethany, you have been a teacher in St. Johns County School District for many years. So when you found this foundation, I mean, obviously your son is a soccer player, but it just kind of made sense. Talk about that synergy and how like this new evolution, this new chapter in your life.
Well, you know, I love teaching. I love working with kids. It's, you know, it's a passion of mine. It's been a passion for, you know, I taught in the classroom for 21 years.
Yeah.
But I was ready to do something a little bit different. I knew that I wanted to continue working with kids and use the skills that I'd acquired, especially with intervention, and still do that here in St. Johns County. And so when Tony and I got together, he was like, we really need to deepen our impact, because the reading logs, great motivators for the kids to play, but there's some other barriers. You know, if a student is reading below grade level, they can only do so much independent reading on their own, right? So they can't really go home and independently read if they have an academic challenge there. So what can we do to deepen that impact? And so right now, currently in the program, between our volunteers and myself, we go in and we have soccerized lesson plans based on the Florida Best standards, the
So cool.
standards that come from the state, and we deliver these lessons to the kids. And so that's just one part of it with the after school program. The second part is really identifying the kids who need real intervention and working with the school to provide some additional supports for them and to give them to work on a plan that gives them additional support so that they can go home and they can read on their own. And so that's really, it's that process of getting the kids to where they need to be with their reading.
So Tony, how did you know this was going to be successful? I mean, you really took a risk here of saying like, yes, I think this is going to work for St. Johns County. Where did you have that faith over fear in this moment?
Well, I knew from the time in Philadelphia, regardless of whether the kids have ever kicked a soccer ball before, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So if you go in and you genuinely, you can tell with the cheerleading, you know, if kids can see you genuinely care about them and you want to open up doors of opportunity, then they'll learn the technical skills.
Oh yeah,
But-
like I can tell. I've had
Yeah.
so many athletes over the years. I've been doing this since I was 18.
Yeah.
I've had so many athletes over the years. Some that had they'd never done a stunt in their life. They've never tumbled, but they knew like, okay, Coach Mel thinks I can do this, and all of a sudden, by the time they get to be a senior, they're one of the strongest athletes in the gym. It's amazing as long as you like give that attention, and you have to figure out what drives each individual child. Like for some, it's tough coaching. Some it's like, yes, girls. Some it's candy.
Yeah.
Give them candy.
True, yeah.
But you figure it out, and
The
I
driving
think,
forces.
Yeah, and when you see that the light bulb go off, it is the coolest feeling you'll ever have in your
You're
life.
the coolest feeling that I'll ever have in my life.
Aw.
But like, let's talk about the parents. I mean, did you get some pushback from parents? Were they a little bit nervous about, God, what is this going to do? I mean, we have after-school program. What were the parents' feedback like?
the parents have been tremendously supportive because their commitment will be in direct correlation with how much involvement you give them. So we spoke to them at the beginning and said, this is the pathway, this is why we want to support your kids, and this is how we need your support. And you know, if you take Oyster Creek projects, when we were in Webster School, it went from 18 kids to 53 kids.
Yes.
So we knew it was going to be successful because of the demand.
I love that.
But then when you meet with Greg White and other West Augustine community leaders, they said, Tony, this is amazing, your passion and your commitment to this community, but there's families who cannot pick their kids up from West Augustine. What can you do for them? Well, we're going to go to them.
Yeah.
So we went to Oyster Creek, the residents of Oyster Creek, and we're working on a concrete basketball court.
Hey, you know what?
And then
Figure it out.
to your question, on the first night, all the parents brought the kids and they sat there and watching to see if we were trustworthy.
Yeah.
And then once come in and listen. Listen to the character champions, listen to the field trip opportunities, listen to the importance of academic excellence. We want to pour support and love into your kids and give them pathways of opportunity. The second week, there was not one parent there.
Wow.
And we
It's
asked,
interesting too.
Yeah.
We have parents are allowed to view all practices,
Yeah.
all tumbling classes, and some of them they come and they stay for hours, and then
Yeah.
the following weeks they're like,
you're okay.
So let's get into the mentorship too and the whole Flagler College side of this. You said the field trips and honestly opening up it's surprising to me when I was with Inc. investing in kids in the foundation and seeing kids that, you know, are in West Augustine but they've never been to the beach or they've never seen Flagler College ever. But like talk about that and how important that is.
I'm going to start with that. So over the summer, one of the big things was a field trip to the beach in the summer program. And the kids just loved it so much because, yeah, they don't get to go very often. And I'll bring Grayson back up because he volunteered that day in the program. And when I picked him up, he came home and he goes, Mom, that was the most fun that I've had. And he was like, it was so fun running around, kicking the ball with him on the beach. It was really fun, like, you know, just going out in the ocean because they were so genuinely happy to be there.
excited.
And they were so excited to be there. But then on top of that, as far as the partnership with Flagler, so there's two ways that we've partnered with them for our volunteers. There's another huge amount of partnership that we have with Flagler, but for our volunteers specifically, we've partnered with the Flagler Education Department. So their education students have a community service element, and so to fulfill their community service hours, they come in and volunteer in the program.
Wow.
And work with the kids on the reading part of the program. So they come for the reading part. The second way that we volunteer or partner with Flagler is through their with their soccer teams. So then the soccer players from both the girls and the boys team come in and volunteer in the program and work with the kids on soccer.
And mentorship is so great, right?
It is. The kids absolutely love it. And what's so special about it is it gives them a glimpse into what their future could look like.
Right.
So they have the mentors of the high school kids that come from our youth leadership program, and it's like, oh, this is what I could look like in high school. And then they have the mentors that come from Flagler in the ed department or the soccer players, and they're like, oh, this is what I could look like when I'm going to college. And so it's so impactful for them because they can see into their future and like it's attainable for them.
I'll tell you what, sports is so important for kids. You learn so much. Like, I think I learned more from sports about like life and how to do things than I did at any book because I was not a good student. It's not a secret. Like, I did not like school, but I excelled in sports. Like, you learn how to work as a team. You know, you learn that in sports you can get through anything. Like, no matter what, you're going to figure out a way to do it.
You're never going to develop players unless you develop people. And regardless of how high the soccer ladder these kids climb, the values that they learn through the character champions will lay a foundation for a great future. And you nailed it, Davey, when you said the importance of mentoring. To be able to put positive character role models in the lives of these young people on a consistent basis is of paramount importance. And an example of that is we have a little girl in our program. She's 8 years old, Hispanic girl. Absolutely loves soccer.
Awesome.
She's incredibly
Oh, I got
talented.
chills. Awesome.
She's playing 2 years out of her age on a boys' team.
Oh my
She
God,
scored.
yes, girl.
Scored the game equalizing goal against the Jacksonville team the other day. Made the game-saving tackle. But more importantly, she's getting individual ESL tutoring through Bethany's program.
I love that.
But because she's reading, she got a chance to go and watch a Flagler soccer game on Wednesday night. And Conchi Sanchez, who's a fantastic human being that's the assistant coach there, takes our girls into the girls' changing room and basically said to them, if I can do it, so can you do it.
Yeah.
Concentrate on your academics, make good decisions off the field, and train away from training. And at the end, we got a picture of the little girl pointing to the Flagler shirt and saying, this can be me.
It's amazing.
It brings tear to a glass
God,
eye.
I'm choked up. That's awesome. That is so cool to see that.
I know.
One of the organizations that we talk heavily on this show is Epic Behavioral Healthcare. What's up with that partnership, and how has that helped you elevate this program?
Massively. When you talk about student, it's Mental Health Awareness Day. When you talk about student mental health, it's not something that you just want to try and make up as you go along. You go to subject matter experts, and there's no one better in this town than Epic Behavioral Health.
Yeah.
So what we realized is when we were playing small-sided games, the kids were melting down. At the slightest bit of conflict, they'd fly off like a firework.
Right.
They'd be cursing each other, they'd be punching each other, and they couldn't control their emotions. So we went to Epic and said, this is the biggest need in our program right now. And they said, no problem. We'll bring our staff out. So when Bethany has Flagler students, one to three kids in the classroom, on the field, we've got a Flagler soccer coach and we've got an Epic Behavior Health coach. So when that kid melts down, we're right in there with the coaching of emotional control. So last spring, Epic came in and did an emotional control module where they're teaching the kids the zones of regulation. So were you mad and frustrated? Were you happy? And if you're in the red zone, which is in the danger zone, like how did it happen? So then they go out and play at half time. Who was in the red zone? Hands up. The other kids are saying, this is how you could stop and prevent yourself from getting in the red zone.
Amazing.
Second half, how many hands? If there's less hands, job done. That's what we're coaching, emotional control.
Yeah.
And then even more importantly, Davey, is for the kids who have experienced deep trauma that need counseling, there's a stigma to mental health.
Oh, yes.
And there's also an obstacle to awareness for the parents. We've now got parents coming to our program that break down that barriers with Epic that can now get the help that their kids need without feeling embarrassed.
Wow.
So
Wow,
it's
this is powerful.
Yeah, it's
Bethany, you want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, I think, like what we said before, partnerships are everything. You can't work in a silo when, and so the more people that you that you can partner with that are experts, I'm an expert in education and I can
That's your
intervene, and
superpower,
That's my
yeah.
superpower, but I am not an expert in mental health.
Yeah.
That's not, and so I think to definitely Tony's credit is looking for all these places in the community that can provide that support and those partnerships, and then continuing reaching out, because that's another big one, is just staying in contact with all of our partners and saying, hey, we're noticing that we need this.
Yes.
Can you come in and help us with this? And what can we help you with? What can we do? So another way that we've partnered is Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Oh, cool.
With Teresa. So she's provided a lot of help and been so knowledgeable in helping us. So one of the things that we're doing is we're doing Ancient City Kids Day for them, and we're providing a soccer clinic for the kids in their program, and then also for the kids in the community. So those partnerships are a lot about help. Here's how you can help us, but here's how we would like to help you too.
I love that.
And so that's what keeps it going.
So then I'm going to pivot that question back to the both of you. How can Sunny TV, how can the community rally? How can we support you guys?
No, he's like, I got a list.
Yeah, he's like ready. Yes,
He's
yes.
like, I've been writing the whole show. So
Here's one I prepared earlier.
Claim it. Let's go.
Time, treasure, and talent, isn't it?
Yes.
The community has already wrapped its arm. What an amazing place St. Augustine is. It's so compassionate. It's not pretentious. Everybody's working together. And you never get to 6 degrees of separation here, do you? You're lucky to get to 2.
Right.
Everybody knows each other.
This is
And
why I don't date anybody.
Yeah,
in
they
town.
don't mention businesses. They just mention couples. Go and see this couple.
Exactly.
So, yeah, the networking and the community here is incredible. So there's 3 ways, really. One is through this campaign. 2/3 of kids that are not reading proficiently by the end of 4th grade end up in jail and or on welfare. 60% of houses in underserved communities in low-income communities do not have a book. So we can't improve the reading if they're just reading in school. They've got to be reading at home. So that's why this book drive is more important than anything else.
Cool.
Is to put books and get a love of learning. They can't have a love of reading if they haven't got a book to read. So that's one way, is the book.
What kinds of books, though?
I'll let
Really, we will take any book. Anything that would be kindergarten level to even 8th grade level, because we have middle schoolers in the program.
Okay. Yeah, we learned the hard way, not Truman Capote. I mean, that was on our book.
Yeah.
That was not a good suggestion.
No,
Love you, Aaron.
The other big thing is, thinking about, especially families and parents, thinking about what your kids like to read, because if they're books that your kids like to read, they're books that our kids like to read.
Fantastic.
A lot of the series, a lot of graphic novels, like things
they
that are
be used
really
books?
popular. Yes.
Okay.
Gently used books, new books. We will take them all, because we're giving them out. And so we give them out to the kids at Webster. We are giving them out to the kids at Oyster Creek, and then there's going to be other opportunities. So the more books that we can get in, the better. The other big component of that, and it kind of ties along, we're doing the book and soccer equipment drive, but kids grow out of books quickly, and kids grow out of their soccer equipment. And so one of the reasons why it's so important to kind of mesh both of those together is it takes away that barrier for a lot of our families, because they might be able to afford to buy 1 pair of cleats, but they wouldn't be able to afford to buy 4 or 5 pairs of cleats, and kids' feet grow really fast.
Yeah.
And so it helps with both the families that want to give, because I know as a soccer mom, there were some seasons where Grayson didn't even wear his cleats out. He wore them 4 or 5 times, and he's like, oh, they're already too small. So I always had a plethora of
Extra cleats.
Cool. So that helps our families, in the community, because here's a place that you can take them and do something with them. And then for our kids, it gives them the opportunity to just play and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So there's really 3 ways, Davey, that Sonnies out there can help the kids within our foundation. The one is the book and equipment drive, which runs from October the 20th to the 6th of November. So if there's families out there that are already members of Ancient City, then it's just simply, whenever you come to training or games, just drop off the equipment under the canopy at Gamble, and we'll get it to where it needs to get to.
Just put the picture up.
Yeah, thanks. That looks
Thank
lovely.
you.
Thank you.
Perfect.
And then if there's Sonnies out there that are non-member of Ancient City, then they can drop it off at Herbie Wiles Insurance, which is one of our community impact partners. And Bethany's working really hard to connect other community partners as drop-off locations. So that's the first one. The second one is volunteer. We have a population of retired school teachers who can get partnered with Bethany and come and volunteer their time to tutor those kids who are reading below grade level, so we can help support their reading gains.
Cool.
Or within corporations, Barwick Bank, a tremendous partner of ours.
Yeah.
They have an Italian guy who's a soccer coach.
Hey.
That they're now say, hey, we got Andrea. Why doesn't he come and volunteer and coach soccer with you?
Nice.
So now that's a
Shout
win.
out to
That's a
Chad
win-win-win.
and
Chad's a class act
Chad
as well.
is amazing. That's
Absolutely
awesome.
brilliant. And the third way is to donate or sponsor. To be honest, the impact. We need the income to expand the impact.
Yes,
So whether you've got $25, $50, or $100, they can buy shin guards, cleats, books. They can sponsor a child to come into a program. Whatever you can afford, we'll get to the front lines, to the programming. And then, obviously, the corporate partners can either sponsor a kid, sponsor a school, sponsor a program. So if there's anybody out there that's interested in, if you think this would be a good brand to associate your brand with, then you can contact me at tony@protential.org, or my cell phone is 484-252-3779, and all that information's on our website.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
You guys are amazing.
Amazing. Thank you both for your time
Yeah.
today.
Morning with us.
What an incredible journey. And please keep me posted. We got to have you back on the show. We got to have some updates because this is
We
such a
should
special
go
thing.
and play soccer with the kids. you
Ancient
guys.
City Kids